Hi everybody.
Hello.
I'm just gonna adjust the light a bit.
We are live. This is our English show from with a lot of light. We feel like Dotter. Right from SVT to you, international viewers who wants to have a Melodifestivalen update, and hopefully the image is great also now. My name is Gustav Dahlander. I'm an expert at Melodifestivalen online department.
I'm just gonna turn off the light.
How about you, Helena?
Yes, I'm the online producer and editor at.
It's a very
strong light. Yeah, it's a very strong light because it's actually the light of even worse. Sorry, guys. Let's go with this. Just
This is a live webcast after all. We want the backdrop here with the press conference which is going on right after the dress rehearsal. What we have seen here is the first dress rehearsal for Heat 2 of Melodifestivalen 2020. And the audience has just left the arena and the press conference is ongoing afterward. After the show, and hopefully we'll get to meet some of the artists.
exactly. And we are in Göteborg, Gothenburg, at the venue called Scandinavium. And Scandinavium has a Eurovision history.
Yeah.
Gustav, tell me about that.
Hello Argentina, we try to keep up with what you're writing to and pick up your comments, and do write your favorites if you've been listening at the snippets, the song snippets available, because it's interesting to hear what you guys think. Scandinavium, as you say, it's a historical ground for Eurovision enthusiasts because this is where the 1985 Eurovision Song Contest, of course, took place. Historical ground for Norway, who won the first Eurovision victory here. Sweden finished third, with Kikki Danielsson, who is coincidentally inducted into the Melodifestivalen Hall of Fame, a name that we learned recently.
Exactly. So, what will we expect about the show tomorrow? Who is the lineup, or which artist is in the lineup?
Yeah, we know that all of you are very much Anna Hart. We're
Anna.
interesting to see. Yeah, Anna Bergendahl had the biggest reaction from the live audience here at the dress rehearsal, actually. So it's interesting to see the exit poll that Melodifestivalklubben is doing, OGA Sweden. They are asking the audience from the dress rehearsal who was the best, and sometimes it's really relevant that what they are saying. Their verdict was actually almost right last week. There were two positions that had to be switched. But the lineup of the artists today. First out.
First is Klara Hammarström, debutant in Melodifestivalen.
Yeah, she has it's a Fuego, Eleni Foureira inspired act. One of the choreographers, of course, is Sasha Jean-Baptiste, who also did the choreography for Fuego for Cyprus in Eurovision in 2018.
Right. Legendary choreography.
Yeah. So, but Sasha is a set choreographer at Melodifestivalen, involved in all of the entries together with Lotta Furuvik. Klara Hammarström has a very Beyoncé-esque performance. She is a profile from the horse world in Sweden. She is actually living on a horse farm and has been in competition as a rider, equestrian. For many years, even though she's just in her around 20 years old now, but she has a bronze medal in the youth pony European Championships, actually.
That's
right. So what we could expect is that she will hope that the horse enthusiasts across Sweden will vote for her, that she can convert them into voters tomorrow night.
Yeah, they are very often very strong. They cheer very strongly about their horse followers.
Yeah, and apparently they are eager to vote. The horse enthusiasts. They have competitions about this, and in sports competitions, when the people are voting, riders are quite often scoring well and sometimes winning the prize. So we'll see if this happens again in the Melodifestivalen. We have never experienced the horse effect before.
And the second one tomorrow evening is actually a Eurovision competitor.
Yes, we have two Eurovision Song Contest artists, contestants returning in Melodifestivalen now. This is Jan Johansson, of course, we're talking about. The other is Anna Bergendahl, who's the last one out. And Jan Johansson, of course, being the Swedish representative in Eurovision in 1995, finishing third. with Se på mig, the ballad, and this time it's also kind of a ballad, but it's a very different journey that he has had this time, of course.
Yeah, it was not. It was quite sudden for him. The final note was that on Monday he decided that he was going to be in because what happened?
Yeah, it's a dramatic turn of events, and I well, almost never before, very very few times before, 2 or 3 times only, has an entry been changed this dramatically this late.
Yeah.
And what we have experienced before is that in 2003, 11 days prior to the competition, one of the acts was switched. But now this happened only 6 days prior to the competition. Actually, only 5 days prior to the competition, we learned that Jan Johansson was going to perform this song, because previously, of course, Thorsten Flink was going to perform the song. But it has been found that he is under a criminal investigation, or actually charged. And since he is charged, SVT feels that it's not okay for Melodifestivalen to have him on the show, because it's a formal criminal charge. And that's why Jan Johansson entered very rapidly. He was asked last weekend, had 1 day to think about it, and said, yeah, I think I could try to help you here, which all the people backstage at SVT are very thankful for. And of course this entry has received some special attention, because a lot of things has to be changed in the last few moments. And even more dramatic is that Jan Johansson came here into Gothenburg today.
That's right. He had a gig, or a couple of gigs this week, so he didn't want to cancel. So he decided to just come today, rehearse in the midday, and then step on the stage and do the dress rehearsals tonight. But it went very well, I think. Stable.
Yeah, he has been labeled as robust. Things are going smoothly because he's a veteran, and that's one of the main reasons, of course, why he was asked, because you need someone who's really, really experienced. And Jan Johansson is frequently out there singing, doing gigs, and even having gigs on a Wednesday and a Thursday, as he had this week, in different places in Sweden. As an artist, you do not cancel your gigs. So he did those gigs, and then he came here today to do the song for the first time. And he plays it safe. He's standing at a still microphone and sings the song with his characteristic voice. And he has been doing a robust impression, and feels kind of cool about it.
Yeah, well, it's respectful, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely very special, and since we have a press conference behind us, we can note that the press has been extremely interested in this story in Sweden all during the week, because Melodifestivalen is very harshly reviewed, very closely reviewed in the media, and this has been a long-going discussion. Is it right or is it not right to change the artist the way they did?
Exactly. And then we have number 3 in the order. And that's, now I have to say, so this is right, Dotter.
Dotter, which means daughter in Swedish. Before we move on to daughter, I should add some more trivia about Jan Johansson, namely, which shouldn't be missed, that he performed his 1995 song because he came too early to the studio, got to test the song, which was intended for someone else, and they found that he was good on the song and was entered for Melodifestivalen and won Melodifestivalen and finished 3rd in Eurovision. So coincidence. And again, in 2002, one of the entries were disqualified, and the first reserve, the first backup from the jury, the song jury, was moved into the competition, and this was Jan Johansson, and he finished 7th in the final. So this guy has a history of doing well in Melodifestivalen, no matter the circumstances. But Dotter, she has a very visually compelling performance, right?
Yeah, I see some of you want Alcazar back, and this one has some disco elements in one way on it. I think of the special costumes she's wearing.
Yeah. And we do get an Alcazar moment also, by the way, with host Lina Hedlund.
Of course, that's the obvious one.
And also Alcazar is in the show in a sequence, pre-recorded sequence, because they are also inducted into the Melodifestivalen Hall of Fame, thanks to the performance with Stay the Night. But Dotter has this laser-like performance with new hyper-modern lights that are hitting her dress and producing a laser-like effect, which is, it's a really strong light, but it's safe. And it's a very new kind of image. They have these lights. It's important that she's on the exact right position, which she has had to calibrate a lot during the week. She has to like catch the laser lights. She gets the laser light hitting her and reflecting all across the arena, and it's a very special image. And the song is a mid-tempo pop, dramatic pop song, you know.
Yes. What else is about Dahlgren? She was 2 years ago. She was in the Melodifestivalen, so it's not her first time, but she didn't manage to get to the final.
Yeah. And the light is changing. It's not to our improvement, but it's at least it's changing. Yes, you're right. She is actually performing, or she's competing in Melodifestivalen for the 4th year in a row, because she's also an accomplished songwriter. She has a very wide range of artistic resources. And as a songwriter, she wrote the Mariette song in 2017, which performed well in the final, 4th place, I think. And then she performed herself as an artist with Cry in 2018, which was an odds favorite to win Melodifestivalen for a few days, but only finished 6th in the heat. And last year she wrote a song for Lina Hedlund,
the host
Victorious,
this year.
which made it to the final. And she also did the Måns Zelmerlöw duet Walk With Me in the Second Chance show last year. So this is an artist with a lot of connections to Melodifestivalen. And I spoke to her, she's really nice, and she said that, yeah, I'd be happy to like return to Melodifestivalen in one capacity or another every year, because it's so much fun.
Well, I don't think anybody would mind that. And let's see, I will see if we have any questions right now. There's a lot of different participants.
And we'll see if we can catch the artists, because now they are on stage actually doing a photo shoot.
That's better for us, it is light.
Oh yeah, that's nice. And it's better for you to see the artists if you can like sense them in the background when our photographer Stina Stjernquist takes the shot. With balloons that she takes every year, every week.
Yeah.
Any questions, by the way?
No, we haven't got any really straight questions.
Go Anna, excited for the audience poll?
It's many like Go Anna, excited for the audience poll. Talk with Jan Johansson. They're on stage right now. I don't know if we can.
Yeah, Helena keeps an eye out for whoever we can get to, and we can move on to number 4, which is Mendes featuring Alvaro Estrella.
Yes.
And
now it's upbeat.
Now it's upbeat. Now it's Latin. Mendes who had big hits or international hit songs in year 2000, 2001, and then he entered Melodifestivalen in 2002, which was the first heat of the first year of the modern Melodifestivalen. And he made it straight to the final, cried on stage iconically, and eventually finished as the runner-up in the final with the song Adrenaline. Mendes is somewhat of a classic act to Swedes. He has heritage from Chile and moved to Sweden from Chile when he was a kid. And then he came back the next year, didn't do that well, went to the Second Chance round, which wasn't called the Second Chance at that time. But we'd say the Second Chance round. And then he came back in 2018 with his big comeback Every Day, which made it to the final and was a big hit in Sweden. So Swedish people recognize Mendes and they like Mendes. And he has some company on stage.
Yeah, Alvaro Estrella, who was in 2014 in this one. He didn't qualify then either. But he has also some Eurovision connections. He's been
lots of them,
yeah, dancer and backing vocals for several countries, for Norway, for Russia, for Sweden.
Yeah, what's interesting about this guy is that when he's entering Eurovision and Melodifestivalen as a singer, background singer, or backing vocalist or dancer, she's doing really well. He finished 6th in the Melodifestivalen heat when he was competing solo, but as a dancer or backing singer, he has finished 3rd with Sweden in 2011 with Popular, 2nd with Azerbaijan in 2013 with Hold Me. And he was back in 2016 for Russia, finishing, was it 3rd or 2nd? I always mix it up. For Sergei, 3rd, I think, right?
3rd, always 3rd. Sergei last
3rd,
year, always
3rd, and Australia was 2nd. And then he came back for Sweden in 2017, who finished 5th with Robin Bengtsson.
It's a very good track record.
Yeah,
but one we have here that was not as
Yeah.
qualified at least.
Yeah, I finished 15th with Alexander Rybak, so it wasn't that bad at all. But 15th in the final in 2018, and that was his last Eurovision effort.
Yes. Right, and we have one question here. Let's see where it went.
How many cameras? I don't have the figure in my
Wow.
head, but I think it's 11. I think it's 11. And one more added for the final, if I'm not wrong. There is an entry in the blog if you scroll back where we present the stage, and there you can find the exact number of cameras and all the facts imaginable on the cameras in Melodifestivalen, and the technology and logistics involved. It's a big thing, obviously.
One person here wonders about the viewing figures. Has the increased? Are they the same after the first semi-final?
The viewing figure was 2.8 million viewers, 2.85 million viewers, I think it was, in broadcast in SVT1, and then it was 500,000 starts on streaming over the weekend for the SVT Play version. So this is relatively stable. A few years back, we would have figures in the first heat around 3.1, 3.2 million. So it's a little drop, but at the same time, the streaming figure goes up, and we know that people are also listening on radio and different ways of accessing Melodifestivalen. So internally at SVT, people are content about this, and everyone in Swedish media are somewhat amazed at this. And also at the interaction, because people are also looking at the interaction figures, and more than 500,000 units were voting, which is somewhat of a world best in television. That this will mean that 15% of the viewers are actually interacting with the show, and that's not what you see in behavior on TV viewers outside of Melodifestivalen, basically. At least this is what the TV experts claim.
Yeah. I'm very sorry, but the participants ran up the other way from the stage. I was going to grab them.
We can bring you some balloons if you want to see the balloons, but not the participants this time.
I will be
That's sad.
much faster next week. I promise you that, and as well. Yeah. And we also someone wonder about how many people voted last week.
How many people voted? It was a little bit more than 500,000. I think I said 502,000 people were voting, and this is the second best for a heat in Melodifestivalen ever. So the interaction figure was really, really high. And this figure we should mention is if you're voting, you have to be in Sweden to vote for the firstly, but this is people voting on the app and on the phone. If you're using the phone and the app, then you're 2 units, obviously, the phone and the app. So this is the closest we can get to measuring the amount of persons interacting with the show, but actually it's units.
Okay, well, I think we should move on to the next participant.
Yeah, we can talk about this forever, especially me.
It's another comeback one from, I would say, from my childhood. It feels like.
Yeah, Linda Bengtzing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Linda Bengtzing, who takes part for the 7th time in Melodifestivalen as a solo act, and this makes her the record holder in solo acts counted in years in Melodifestivalen. No one else has participated as a solo act in 7 years of Melodifestivalen in the history of the contest. And she performs a song by the same songwriters as Ida Redig, who performed in Gothenburg 2 years ago, finished 5th. And you can hear that the song it has a similar touch. She has said herself, this is not a Schlager song, and the experts, I was looking at the bloggers' Schlagerprofilerna, they also said it's not a Schlager song. She moves in a somewhat different direction, but has the Linda Bengtzing energy and power still. That's
energy.
that
she definitely has.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And actually we have the exit poll. The figures are just now in. I get a report from Sara Nordbeck Olivers at Melodifestivalen, who are doing the exit polls. And we should give you the information about Paul Ray and Anna Bergendahl, because those two are really significant. But let's first see who are significant if you're asking the live audience in the arena, because this is very exciting as I look down into my phone right now. 697 people were asked, and they have a huge favorite, and it's not the one that we expected. Because
Who did we expect?
Anna Bergendahl had the biggest reaction by the live audience, if you're just listening for it, at least according to Melodifestivalklubben and our photographer Stina, who I also asked as a reference person, because I was in the viewing room. But actually the winner in the Melodifestivalklubben exit poll is Mendes, featuring Alvaro Estrella.
Mendes.
With 25% of the votes, 178 votes, and that's clearly more than Anna Bergendahl, who had 131 votes and is on the second place. So those two would be the finalists if this audience would decide. Otherwise, Paul Ray has been hailed as somewhat of a favorite, at least in the odds. He is now the runner-up for winning Melodifestivalen in the odds charts, if you combine the charts. But we'll see what happens with this, because he's only in the fourth place. Because number 3, some fans out there will be happy to hear that this is Dotter. Johanna Jansson, Bulletproof, 129 votes. So it's right behind Anna Bergendahl. She was almost number 2. That's really tight, and this is opening up the semi, because people have been saying that Paul Ray and Anna Bergendahl are the ones to beat, or almost the ones that are certain qualifiers to the final. What's being discussed is who are going to take the second chance places. But now this will be mixed up very much. The predictions will be changed. Mendes Alvaro Estrella number 1, Anna Bergendahl number 2 in the exit poll, Dotter number 3, Paul Ray number 4. Number 5 was Klara Hammarström, a great distance behind actually, 63 votes versus 117 votes. For Paul Ray. So Klara Hammarström was some distance behind on the 5th place. On the 6th place, Linda Bengtzing, who received, there's a typo here, but 7.9% of the votes. And on the 7th place, Jan Johansson, 24 votes, which it's not that bad, because the last one had 11 votes last week.
Oh, yeah. So
it was 2 entries on the last position. So
more than double.
they have some sympathy there too. And interesting, because for the live audience with Dotter, it's a very strong light show. So people get the light in their eyes in the live audience. And I would think that perhaps they would not like this.
Powerful.
But they liked it.
Well, it will look amazing for everybody watching it on television or online tomorrow.
Yes, it's made for being on camera, Dotter. So it's exciting that she's actually number 3 in the exit poll. You can only speculate about this. Obviously, this is not the result we're going to have tomorrow, perhaps. But we know also that these exit polls tend to be, at least from the last year, and this year seems to have the same trend. They were very close to the final result in the first round, and then as the two moves on, the upsets, the unexpected results become more and more frequent. Let's see if this is correct, or if we will see a big change. But the exit poll in Gothenburg last year, it was for Heat 1, but it was spot on. Actually, all 7 places were correct.
So you can trust the Göteborg people.
Yeah, perhaps. We should also mention Paul Ray more closely.
Yes, Paul Ray, the 6th entry of tomorrow.
Number 6.
Paul Ray has not been a Melodifestivalen before, but he have had some hits in Sweden, and he's even done a collaboration with an international superstar.
Yeah, in 2017, I think it was, he did the song California Dreaming together with Snoop Dogg and Armand Chetin, something like that, which was a relatively big international hit, Snoop Dogg, of course, being a well-known name. And Paul Ray has Quincy Jones as his mentor, and has had an American record contract for a number of years. But in Sweden, he's not that well known. The thing for him is that people do not know his face really. He hasn't really been elevated in his career, and to take part in Melodifestivalen is for him opportunity to showcase himself. But it is very much a real artist who very much has a real career going on. But now he wants to skyrocket through Melodifestivalen.
Well, it reaches a huge audience, over 3 million people. So Yeah, and also international fans. So let's see where it takes him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stage show has been considered to be like delicate. It's a very well balanced stage show, as reviewers have said, with some overlay effects on the screen and delicate background images, silhouettes and stuff.
Yeah.
You be the judge. You see it tomorrow.
Yes, and soon we have to wrap up because we have a Swedish live streaming just a bit. But who ends tomorrow?
I don't want to go.
People don't want you to go either, but you can also watch this afterwards because we'll publish the clip on YouTube. So.
Yeah, it was the last one out in the running order is Anna Bergendahl, the Swedish 2010 Eurovision representative. She's back after her success last year with Ashes to Ashes, which was very much played in Swedish radio.
Yeah.
It was a big radio hit in Sweden. It made it to the final via the Second Chance show. She took part in Gothenburg, and now she's back in Gothenburg for the second year in a row. And let's see if she can go straight to the final. According to the live audience here, she will do it, but it was a close race in the exit poll. Her song is called Kingdom Come, and it's a very, very powerful song. It's been reviewed as somewhat of a modern version of a schlager, like a schlager for 2020. It's a song written by Erik Wernholm and Bobby Ljunggren and Thomas Gesson.
It's a strong trio there.
Of songwriters, yeah. And Bobby Ljunggren has his 50th entry ever in Melodifestivalen with this song. Actually Bobby Ljunggren and Thomas Gesson, who has after this year been competing with 60 entries in Melodifestivalen, they haven't been writing songs that much together that you think. They wrote Evighet, Invincible for Carola in 2006, which finished 5th in Eurovision. But apart from this, not much, like Helena Nilsson in 2011 and Anna Bergendahl last year, and I think that's it. Erik Wernholm, he has also taken part as a songwriter in Eurovision. He wrote Quédate conmigo for Spain in 2012, finishing 8th.
You're welcome, Spain. Yeah.
And
There you have it.
we can mention that it was they have 6 dancers on stage for Anna
yes.
Bergendahl. It's a grand. They have a
shouldn't miss the
podium
dancers.
and 6 dancers, and some of you will appreciate them very much. I expect 6 male dancers, we also have another entry, Mendes and Alvaro Estrella, who has 6 dancers on stage. So it's like a really big performances with live people on stage. In Melodifestivalen you can have 8 people on stage since 2009. In Eurovision you can only have 6, of course. So if the winner has too many people,
They have to vote somebody out.
yeah, it's another kind of TV show that can follow subsequently in the lead up to Eurovision. But so you had to change things around because in Melodifestivalen you can also have pre-recorded backing vocals, which you cannot have in Eurovision. So this is kind of changing the audio profile of the songs sometimes. Mendes and Alvaro Estrella, they have a big chorus, Vamos Amigos, and they don't have any backing vocalists here, so it's pre-recorded. The vocals in the chorus, they have some pre-recorded backing vocals to provide something bigger. So they would have to switch dancers out to dancers/singers if they would win the final.
Yeah.
Anna Bergendahl, she also has lots of dancers, but she has Britta Bergström, legendary backing vocalist, Eurovision-winning backing vocalist, who is off stage doing backing vocals for Anna.
Which Eurovision winning performance has she been?
Euphoria, but
Euphoria.
also Heroes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so 2 times.
So let's send her.
Yeah, this is her only performance, only entry in this year's Melodifestivalen.
Yes. Well, now we unfortunately really have to run up.